Hey everyone, welcome to Panels Without Borders, the live show with your host, Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd. But I am joined by a very special guest today, and that is Rob from Stax Comics. How's it going, Rob?
I'm very special.
You are. Well, you are definitely a man of the hour. Let's put it that way.
The man of many streams, and it's not just because I have old man issues, I suppose.
Well, welcome into the show. I'm very excited to have you here. Folks are probably still trickling in or seeing an ad on YouTube. But as you're coming in, or if you're watching on the rewind, primarily we're here. We're gonna talk about a couple of things, but the main thing we're here to talk about tonight is Rob and a part of the event he puts on, Comics Curing Cancer. There we go. We are approaching C3, as it's called, the third year of Comics Curing Cancer.
Indeed.
So I have pasted a link into chat, which takes you directly to the fundraising page. I also have a link here that I am going to paste in for.
Give him the link tree, takes him to everything.
There we go. Even better. So I'll post that in a couple times. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Also, GT Key Comic, as always, got Shop for Comics in the house.
Shop.
Yeah, thanks for being here, guys. So, a question on a lot of people's minds is going to be, what the heck is Comics Curing Cancer? And I think that's a great place to start. Can you tell us about Comics Curing Cancer, Rob?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Comics Curing Cancer is a virtual event. Takes place here in the YouTubeosphere or the YouTubeverse, whichever we want to call it. I'm not sure which, but it is an official fundraiser for the American Cancer Society. It started off originally, actually 3 years ago, as the brainchild of Cardboard Crazies. He wanted to do something for cancer because he had some family members deal with some stuff. And so he just put on a 24-hour thing, hit up a GoFundMe, and had people donate, which he then gave it all to American Cancer Society.
Cool.
He set out to raise $2,000, which seems like a lot when you're doing a small spur of the moment type thing. And he ended up raising over $8,000.
Wow.
And so that got the attention of everybody, including the American Cancer Society. And they adopted it as an official campaign of the ACS. So now, last year, in their second year, Chris, aka Cardboard Crazies, he was not able to participate. His wife was expecting right about the time that the event was going to go down. Through some weird tangential connections, I somehow ended up becoming the shepherd of the Comics Curing Cancer flock. Decided to change up the format. I said, I'm not too old to do a 24-hour marathon anymore, and instead decided to utilize what I call the overlapping spheres of influence. And that is that, you and I can have probably 80% of our subscriber base may be the same, but the reality is that your core audience and my core audience may be very different elements of that. And so I thought, instead of just having one person do it, let's host this thing over the course of several days on multiple channels and utilize and leverage those different spheres of influences. And that's what we did. And we set out to raise $10,000. We fortunately, we now had a payment portal that was directly through the ACS. So when we went to people and said, hey, we're raising money for this event, it wasn't go put money in a GoFundMe and trust me that I'm going to put the money where it was. It was, you're going to the ACS website and you're donating directly to them. That's where that money went. And you're instantly getting a letter from them, email from them saying, thank you for your contribution, which you can now go use for your tax dollars, right? Or tax deductions.
Yeah.
So we did that, set out to raise $10,000. We raised $22,000 because this community just really glommed on our, this worked well. And let's face it, everybody can relate to cancer being this super villain.
Yeah.
We've all, whether directly or indirectly, had some kind of connection to it. We know the kind of horrible things it does to families and people and everything else. And it's super easy to get behind. I've never met anybody who said, no, you know what? Cancer's okay. It's all right, man. Let's, maybe they said that when they're talking about my dad, who is a cancer, by astrological signs,
Right.
not
Right.
that cancer of a man. Uh, but aside from that, nobody's in favor. Nobody's pro cancer, right?
Right.
So this year, third year, we're doing the same thing. We're kicking off those spheres of influence. We're doing, we've got bigger, better stuff going on. People, because of the success of last year, have recognized this is a legit thing, and so the level of the donations increased dramatically as far as like the items that we have for our auctions and stuff. It's not just me going through my slab collection and sacrificing 70 slabs from my collection to try to do stuff. Instead, it's stuff pouring in high quality merchandise, and we're ready to raise 25,000 is our goal this year. We're sitting, but we haven't even got started the event officially yet, and right now we're actually sitting at $9,800 already, uh, which is just incredible to think about.
Yeah, and for those of you that are wanting to follow that link or wondering what it looks like, this is the official landing page over on the American Cancer Society events page, and you can see that goal right there, like Rob's talking about, $9,800 over $9,800 raised, and this is where you could go donate as well, to kind of get that pre-donation in before that fun stuff, the actual event even starts. So that is cool.
Yeah, so this makes it really nice. Everybody can see what they get, and we can track this stuff. The big thing that will happen is during the course of the event, is each of these different shows that we have, and the link tree that you dropped has not only the link to that portal, but it also has a link to each one of the shows.
Yeah.
In the schedule that when the shows are going to be doing their different shows, but also has a link also to the big cartel shop. But although we're currently sold out of the exclusive because we had a Comics Curing Cancer exclusive of the Unnatural Order, thanks to the Comic Mint had donated the production costs of the book.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, and along with that, also Matt Wilson had donated the artwork for the cover. It's basically, we've been kind of led to believe that it's the only exclusive variant of this book. And, we sold out of the pre-orders. We are waiting right now to get the final tally from New York City Comic Con. And any then that are left over will be added back up there, and we'll be announcing that as soon as we know for certain if there's more books available to be able to continue to sell those. So the 100% of the $20 purchase price on that book goes to Comics Curing Cancer. And then, there's also the merch. We have a merch site. Well, I have a merch site. We have Comics Curing Cancer stuff, but also other channel merch stuff that's there, and all those merch sales go there because my channel year round is constantly everything I get, my membership fees, the ad revenue, that whopping $14 or whatever that we get, that all just gets donated to Comics Curing Cancer every month when I get that little alert from YouTube that they paid me my pittance. But so what we're going to do on this event is on each one of these shows, each show will have a different activities going on. It could be community hangouts, could be drawing. We'll have some shows of artists drawing. It could be, some mini auctions and sales and different types of stuff. My normal only slab show will be a part of it. And during them, there'll be opportunities for us to remind folks to either go donate. Maybe we'll have some items that are buy it now, or some sales or donations will get you onto a little prize wheel for that show or something. And that's how we're going to kind of get people to build up to go for that. Over the first 2 days, in addition to the individual show things, anybody who collectively or cumulatively, I should say, donates $50 or more, they will get put on our big spin donor wheel. And that Saturday night over on my channel, we'll be doing our big spin where we'll get everybody who's donated on one wheel to spin it. Your name comes up. Then we have a whole wheel full of stuff from slabs, free comic book pressings, mystery boxes, all kinds of stuff. And we'll spin that, see what you get, match you up. There you go. That becomes your thank you gift, kind of like the old pledge drive. It's better than a mug unless it's a Comics Curing Cancer mug available on the merch shop.
There we go.
Shameless plug. Then Sunday is the big auction. We start at 11 a.m. Eastern, and we'll go for hours. over on my channel, and we will be we have things like Batman Adventures 12. We have in near mint condition, we got a lot of Golden Age or several Golden Age slabs, some Planet Comics, some Captain Marvel Adventures, some Blue Beetle Golden Age, some World's Finest, a lot of modern slabs, Silver Age. We got a Captain America 100.
Wow.
Some good stuff. As in addition, we have original comic book pages, art. We have the cover art, the original cover art for Darkwing Duck 8 from Trish Forster. She donated to us along with a copy of the book itself. We tons of sketch covers from both community artists as well as well-known artists like John Boy Myers, Trish Forster, Chris Campana, some of these guys like that who've donated stuff for us for this event.
Wow. That is just an incredible slate of events and items and just kind of everything in the kitchen sink to get people on board with this event.
A little bit of something for everyone.
The thing, so I'm not going to talk about it because this is about comics curing cancer, but I'm organizing a charity event right now. And I have to kind of marvel at the organization and what you have managed to do. I want to talk about that a little bit because I know it's not just you. It's not a sole effort here.
No.
So how did, you mentioned that you did C2, Comics Curing Cancer 2. You kind of took over and shepherded that. After that event, at what point did the planning start and what did the planning look like for this event?
Yeah. So last year we pulled it off with very little planning. I kept thinking, it's not going to be that big deal or whatever. And I was dealing with getting kids off to college and everything else. And so we didn't start until like at the end of beginning of October. Late September, early October. So we did it all in about 6 weeks, which was kind of nuts. This year, I should say, we did start earlier with preliminary, probably some of the earliest discussions started around Heroes Con because a lot of the DJ Lynx and Mark from Legion of Comics, those are the two primary guys who helped me. We're kind of like the three-headed monster that kind of really spearheads everything on this. Yeah. We were all there, so we had some conversations there. But even though we started preliminary discussions, we really didn't, again, kick off as early as we probably should have for this. We didn't get going until probably late August. Now, I will say that for next year, there's already some early stage planning going on for next year. We're much more ahead of that, although those discussions are tabled until we finish this weekend. But right. But yeah, no, everybody's super excited because certain things happened. And we managed to pull them off. I mean, DJ Lynx and managed to get the spearhead and get this exclusive done. And it was, if anybody's ever tried to do an exclusive, it's not something you do overnight. But DJ got it done virtually overnight because we didn't start talking about it as a possibility until almost 2 months ago. And wow. You went from concept to cover art to production and available at New York Comic Con in that short period of time. That was nothing short of an absolute miracle. But it energized everybody because now we're like, oh, holy crap, now we have this, and that's something new. So now it's like the machine starts running. What can we do in the future?
Wow. I'm in awe of it. I think that people may not understand just how hard it is to, I think sometimes people look at comic book YouTube or whatever, and they sort of see it as like almost like a company or like there's some order to it. It's just a bunch of individuals doing their own thing for the most part. Obviously, there's some groups and some crossover too, of course. But also a lot of people that are very much on their own schedule. They're very much living their own life. This is like their side hustle or their second or third or fourth job in some respects. And so,
or sometimes they're like us, living on the West Coast, 3 hours out of time sync with everybody else.
Exactly. No, that's a real thing too. Like something you and I had talked about is, trying to, let's say you want to schedule a guest to promote this, or you want to schedule a call to talk about it, or you want to have a conversation with somebody. Well, if you're over here on the West Coast and, you work a 9 to 5 or a 10 to 6 or any of those kind of normal kind of hours, well, then all of a sudden you're talking about in your evening time or when you're supposed to be getting out of work, you're then trying to hit up somebody who's on the East Coast and 3 hours ahead. It can be a nightmare to organize some of that stuff.
Yeah.
It probably kind of pays off a little bit because I know, let's see, are you the only one that's on the West Coast out of those three?
Correct.
Okay. So you guys can kind of tackle both coasts.
Well, and the fact that, in my real job, I work with Europe quite a bit. Half my team is in Europe, so I'm usually up and I start work at like anywhere from 5 to 6 o'clock in the morning in my time anyways. So I kind of work more East Coast centric hours. So it does help from that aspect, but
that makes sense. Yeah. And I mean, it just kind of thinking about how that all kind of comes into play. Like it is tough. And then especially when you talk about reaching out to artists or you talk about reaching out to comics people, well, they're on their own life and schedule and grind, and they're on deadlines, and you're asking for a piece of art or something like that, the original piece of art, and then all of a sudden they're thinking like, well, how am I going to fit this into my, like, I'm trying to make money on commissions and trying to do all this different stuff. It can be very challenging, and you guys,
they have life.
yeah, exactly. You guys have made it look easy in a way, and when I say look easy, I emphasis on look because I'm sure it's been a lot of hard work.
It's a huge amount of work, and it's a lot of really, I think, a little bit of blind luck on our part on a few things. We've stepped into some things, been very fortunate on, and at the same time, I think it's the cause, right? The cause is something that everyone, these artists, when you talk to them, they can relate to. Everybody can relate to it and understand it and has a connection to it that makes them willing to do a little bit something extra, to try a little bit harder, to try to make things work, even if it's not ideal for them necessarily. That's been one thing that's been helpful. Combine that with obviously the success that we had last year really got a lot of attention. When we're able to talk about it and say that we raised $22,000, that's a sense of legitimacy that helps you when you're talking to some of these artists. It's like, this is not just, I'm not just trying to do something that's going to raise like $400 or something over here. I'm, not to knock those things because everything adds up, but I'm just saying it's, it allows you to operate on a slightly different scale when you're doing all that. So, and then of course the fact that it's an official campaign of the ACS now, that it's not just I'm doing it, trust me, this is what I'm doing with it, that I can sit there and say, no, here, go to the website, here's a contact at the ACS, you can talk to them and they'll tell you everything you want to know and whatever else. That's a different level that helps in a day and age where there's a lot of hands out asking for help, and there's a lot of people who want to give help.
Yeah.
But there's also so many unfortunate stories of people taking advantage of the nice nature of people, the kind nature, that it's when you can have that level of credibility, it helps people a little bit more willingness again to step up and do their part.
Absolutely. So it makes me wonder, when it comes to this process, what has been the hardest thing to accomplish from your perspective to make this all come together?
There's a time element to some degree because it all comes down to a crunch ultimately at the end. And ultimately we are relying on a lot of donations from item donations from folks first and foremost, in order to then turn around and use that for the auction. So we're not, because we can't raid our personal collections constantly for that.
Yeah.
As is, there's a lot of time that we give up to do this. And probably the biggest thing that our next biggest obstacle for us to learn how to tackle is that because all these payments go through the ACS site as donations, essentially, there's no mechanism for paying for shipping. So the shipping is completely out of pocket on our end. And right now, and probably about 80% of the items come to me. And and then I ship them out. And that's a logistical nightmare. Not forget the expense part of it. It is a logistical nightmare when you're trying to do another job, is partnering up all these items. Make sure you have a good inventory. Make sure you figure out where is it going. Is it, because we have all these different shows, we have this auction. Then once it's sold, making sure that it all got paid for, that it all gets boxed properly, because God forbid if Fat Stax sends out a package that's not packaged properly. After all he does is complain about people's packaging all the time, right? And then then you got to get it all shipped and everything else, and that's a lot of crazy. You not make it. No, because there's no mechanism in the way that things are set up. That ACS portal is basically assumes just donations. It doesn't, and we have no access to that money. So once that money goes there, there's no way for us to say, oh, there's a premium that covers shipping, and that we take that out. There's absolutely zero. We have zero access to it. It all goes straight to the ACS. So the only way we could do it is if we said, okay, now you got to make a second payment over here to cover that. We're really looking at hopefully down the road next year getting some kind of corporate sponsor to help cover some of the cost of the shipping or something is really probably the way to go. Corporate partner of some sort.
And I'll tell you, so again, I won't talk about the specifics, but I'm facing the exact same situation right now with what I'm dealing with, and it's a real issue because for me it's a one-man operation. So if I say I'll take care of all the shipping, it may not literally be something that I can literally do. So
it's a lot. It's a lot. Shipping prices, when you start thinking about it, especially since I'm shipping from the West Coast.
Yeah, exactly.
Even now with ground advantage and stuff, it's still, there's all the packing materials. You can't save, you end up buying a lot of virgin packing materials because you can only save so many parcels and stuff that you've got going on. But, I couldn't do it though without Mark and DJ.
Yeah.
It's not at this scale, that's for sure. And that's really the key thing, is the fact that they stepped up last year and really kind of when I got kind of spearheaded this thing, they jumped right in and stepped right in, and we found our groove very easily of what each one of us has a specialty, kind of a natural inclination towards, and then we handle those different elements. We have them,
that's great.
Weekly meetings to coordinate on what's going on. So there's a ton of behind the scenes stuff that goes on to making this a reality. But at the end of the day, it's not DJ, it's not me, it's not Mark. It's every single member of the community, because they're the ones who are supplying the lion's share of the items that we're using to raise the funds. They're the ones who are spending the lion's share of the money to buy those funds and make those donations. And what's really important is they're the ones that are helping us to echo this out. I can only show up on so many channels. DJ can show up on so many channels. We can, send out messages from our Instagram, but our biggest enemy really becomes the algorithm.
Yep.
Right. If I send out a message and it's only going to send it out to 25 or 30% of my followers, and then only send out to more if a certain number of people like, well, that means I need everybody who subscribes to us really to drive home how important it is for them to not only like those posts we do, but to echo them, to repost them, to reshare them, because then that's a whole nother piece of the algorithm. That's what was our huge success last year. People glommed onto this. And you might remember that final week at the end of October, just like Instagram was flooded with a billion posts about comics curing cancer going on. And hang on, boys and girls, I'm hoping it's going to be the exact same this year, this weekend, because that really helps us to not only reach new people that didn't know about it. Maybe they go, what is this? Let me go check it out real quick. And then they get there and they realize what's going on. And that's how we're going to get to our goal.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's, a big part of you being on here tonight is part of that effort. I'm definitely going to do what I can to help share out that stuff, especially as we get closer to it. I'm going to make sure that I am supporting you guys on the event.
We appreciate that.
And not just me, but hopefully bring people, you're talking about those spheres of influence, hopefully bringing some people along that may not have otherwise been there, just because, again, algorithm issues, or there's not exposed to it, or whatever might be the case, right? We want to raise awareness. And that's what's important about these events, it's that chance. I'm sure you feel the same way. It's that chance for us to do something that is actually going to make a difference in people's literal lives, right? So that's amazingly important.
And that's the great thing, because the ACS, it's not just cancer research. It's the patient outreach. It's the families and stuff that are going through that, assisting families with family members who are going through cancer and stuff. All the different elements that they do. That's it can make the world a difference in people's lives. And God willing, one day, they do find a cure, and then great. I'll find a new thing to champion, I suppose, at that point. And I'll be happy to do it. Right.
Right. Exactly. I mean, yeah, exactly. So when it comes to that idea of actually doing what we can to help, at this point, I imagine you guys are most likely past the cutoff where people could probably supply items.
Yeah, please don't send any.
Yes. Okay. So that's the one thing I wanted to talk about, because I know that's one way people can support early on. At this point, sharing those posts is going to be a huge deal. Being there for the event's going to be a huge deal. That is why I am going to paste in one more time the link tree, because it does have the events listed. What's the first actual formal event? When does that actually kick off?
Every Friday. The first formal event will be Friday at 7:30 in the morning Eastern time. Legion of Comics. That's where we kick off the actual fundraising event. There will be there's a preview show on Wednesday where I will be on Chris the Comic Fix channel, and we will be going through a lot of the items that will be available for auction. Include some of them have been posted on our Instagram, some of them haven't been. And then there will be, I believe Thursday, there's a kind of a tailgate show over on Nick's Kicks and Comics. We're kind of building up the hype for it, but the official fundraising event begins on Legion of Comics channel, 7:30 in the morning.
Okay, awesome. So that's the first official kickoff.
Although, and I could say this, if that link tree, the very first thing on there was the donation portal. You can actually go and donate right now.
100%.
And any donations that go in, even now, go to that $50 cumulative to go on to the donor wheel. So
okay, cool.
All year, that thing's up all year round. And so people have been donating already or donate now today, because I'm not going to be around or whatever, but it still goes towards getting on that donor wheel.
Okay. So yeah, there are ways to support now. And I would say, doing things like sharing out, go follow Rob's socials, all the socials of the folks who are on the links here, DJ Links, Legion of Comics, and share out those posts as you see them.
Comics Curing Cancer.
Yeah, exactly.
Buy some Comics Curing Cancer merch. It all goes to Comics Curing Cancer.
There you go.
Shirts, mugs.
Yeah. And is that shirt you're wearing, is that available on the merch store right now?
This particular one is not. This is a custom. Only 3 of these in the world exist. Myself, Mark, and DJ. But there's regular T-shirts that have both generic as well as specific for this year. There's the mugs. There's some of my henchman T-shirts. There's a version where it's just a black shirt that says henchman. Great for cosplay at any convention.
There you go.
The backside has a Comics Curing Cancer logo and stuff on there. Anything that's on that merch store, even if it's not even Comics Curing Cancer stuff, 100% of that merch store's proceeds all go to Comics Curing Cancer year round.
Sweet. I'm going to shift into perhaps a personal question, and if you don't want to answer it, feel free. That's totally fine. I'll share my experience afterwards.
Thank you, John.
Is there any way in which cancer has touched your life that you want to share with us tonight?
Yeah, well, let's see. As a Caucasian family, yes. Most of my mom's side of the family has all my grandparents passed away of cancer. On my mom's side of the family, my grandmother on my dad's side passed away of cancer. My brother-in-law one of my brother-in-laws had a non-Hodgkin's lymphoma at the age of 18, which he managed to survive, and deals with the ramifications of being diagnosed with cancer at 18 and can't get life insurance to save your life or anything else. And so there's a lot of, but the upside was that he has a family after being told he wouldn't be able to thanks to chemo. But so
Well, there we go.
the 1%. But
Wow.
there's lots of family members and of course friends galore that I know that have stories of, they got to have a really good friend of mine from that was the mother of one of my son's friends in scouting that went through breast cancer and is now works full time for the one of the foundations for that cancer, and there's all these different things that everybody's.
Yeah, and I mean it's a real plague upon us. I mean, that literally both my parents are cancer survivors. 3/4 of my grandparents. I mean, it's just like a ticking time bomb for a lot of people and their families at this point. For potentially getting it, or somebody very, very close to them will get it. And it's like you said, everybody on this world understands that it's a villain, and I think that's a great way to put it. I love
biggest
that.
super villain there is. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to joke when I would see my doctor and he'd give me some grief about something. I said, look, I'm a overweight white guy, man. I'm going to die of either a heart attack or cancer. It's not a question of when. It's just or not a question of if. It's just a matter of when. And, and joking about it was the way I deal with it. But
Yeah.
that's the sad reality. It's just a question of which one of the two gets me first, right? I could do something about it. I could actually, live well, but
But I mean, and that's the real rub of it, is that there's a lot of people that even if they live well, it's still
there are tons of stories, right? People who did everything that they were told that they needed to do. They didn't eat this or didn't do that, and they still get it. And
yeah. And I mean, I on one hand, sorry to ask a very pointed, sad question, but I think that anybody who's in your shoes that's going to be working this hard on it obviously has to have a personal connection to what's going on here. And I think it's important that we address that, because again, everybody out there can relate to this. Yeah. So I think everybody has a motivation to support this cause is the ultimate goal here.
Yeah. I mean, the one that's most poignant to me is my maternal grandmother. She was the matriarch of our, my mom's side of the family is Italian. She's the matriarch of the family, took care of everybody. And one day she, cleaning the house, she bumped into something, thought she just bruised her rib or something. A couple days later, it was still bugging her. She finally went down. They convinced her to go down to the hospital to get it checked out. She never came out of the hospital because it turned out that she had bone cancer throughout her entire body, and she was dead in a matter of 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So these things happen, but what can we do about it? Well, I can do something to try to help, to try to either prevent it or to help other people having to deal with it. Is comics curing cancer.
100%. And yeah, I think that's kind of the moral of the story here, is that we definitely want to do what we can to support. I know I definitely want to do what I can to support. This is like, I figure having this conversation, exposing it to a few of my viewers is the least that I can do. And I will be doing more later on. It's good to see everybody filter in here and checking out the message. Don't forget, I do have it pinned to the chat that you can go to the donation page. And I am going to keep pasting in the link tree, which has the links to all the events that are part of Comics Curing Cancer 3, or C3 as it's called, coming up this weekend. So it is going to be a very busy and exciting weekend. A lot of money is going to get raised. I hope we can crush the goal. Like, honestly, it'd be great to sail.
I want to see us hit our stretch. We have some stretch goals that have been established by community members, right? So Lee from Whack Comics has said at 25,000, if we hit our goal, right? He's shaving his beard. At 30,000, he's waxing his eyebrows. Then Tyler from Whack Comics didn't want to do that. So he's made the mistake, I think. I'm hoping it was a mistake that he uttered the words and said, at 40,000, he's getting Comics Curing Cancer tattooed as a tramp stamp.
Wow. Now that is commitment.
That is a number I want to see us hit. I so want to see that.
Wow. So 40,000 is the new goal, everybody. We want to make sure no room for adjustments, right? So let's go 45,000 at least.
Exactly.
And then he really can't back out of it either. He's like, oh, well, 45,000. You got to do it.
And,
Oh, that is
and what's
incredible.
great is what's cool is one of the things that we've done to help us maximize that. Last year, we came up with a really cool mechanism for the auction that eliminates what's the worst thing about auctions?
Getting people to pay.
Aside from that, sniping, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a system, no sniping, and allows us to maximize our bidding. So when we put an item up for auction, there's a timer that's going.
Mhm.
That timer is when we stop taking new bids. All it does is stop new bidders from coming in.
Right.
The bidding continues until there's the last man standing. Everyone else is tapped out.
And
Then
they
that
fold.
person goes. Right. So only the remaining people can go. So no one can snipe you.
Yeah.
Because you always have the opportunity until you tap out, essentially, to go, and allows us to get, if somebody was trying to wait and play that last second game to get something on the cheap, it prevents us from, not getting maximum value for the charity, which is what we're there for, is for charity, not just so somebody can get a steal on a comic book.
Yeah.
But it also makes everybody happy because there's no sniping and stuff. So.
Well, and also, it's also just one of the realities of doing auctions on YouTube is there is a bit of a delay built in.
Yep, it takes
So
care
to
of
do
that too.
sniping kind of tactic anyway, you end up with some people that are going to have sour grapes and get pissed off at the auction, and it's not good. And it's also the best, like you said, the best way to raise money for the cause, and the best way to ensure that the most funds are raised, and also just avoid that whole FOMO weird bidding thing that happens with people too. Like, you don't want people doing that either and blowing their life savings on something. So it's good for everybody. And I love that system. I think it's the right way to do it. So I'm glad to see you guys are using that. And then, so also prizes throughout the shows or based on donations. And
throughout the shows, there'll be different things. Some shows will have some items that either we buy it now. Some of this might be donations onto a prize wheel, might be items for auction. During some of the sketch shows that we have 2 different sketch shows that are going on. Where we'll have community artists come on and draw live, and then they'll be auctioning off the items that they create on the show. There'll be one that's on Friday, hosted by Izzy, the Izzyverse, called the Sketchy Show, and then there'll be CJ is doing an overnight Insomniacs. Creatures of the Night will be their theme, and going to have people on all night long doing drawings in the overnight, doing some of that Creatures of the Night theme stuff.
Finally putting those dark powers to good. That'll be great. An over the top option.
We're not. We're not going to be no fight bell. No. There's no giraffes. Or
John has a very technical and good question here. Are you able to pay with PayPal?
I believe that is one of the payment options when you go to the ACS portal. You can pay either credit card or PayPal.
Cool. Wow.
Actually, I know you can.
Yeah. Pretty much all the legit charities out there they're very open about how they want to be able to accept money, as they should be. So yeah, absolutely. No, that's such a great cause. I'm so happy that you guys are doing this. I'm proud of what you guys have put on. I know it might sound a little weird, but I mean, literally looking at it from the eyes of somebody who has done these kinds of events before on a much, much, much smaller scale, looking at what you guys are doing, it is awesome. It's awe-inspiring. And it's for a great cause. So I think it's amazing that you guys are doing this.
Appreciate all the support from folks like you and the rest of the community that have allowed us to come on and were willing to help us spread this message out to everyone so it can keep feeding on itself and become bigger and bigger. Absolutely.
And to that effect, if anybody, we're probably gonna, I don't think we're gonna have a ton more time here on the stream here, because I think we kind of have said most things. I'm gonna ask Rob if he has anything else he wants to talk about. In the meantime, if you do have another question in chat, please make sure you get it out there. It could be about anything, I suppose, but make sure you get it out there, because we definitely want to make sure we do that. In that kind of vein, Rob, is there anything that we missed here tonight that you want to make sure you hit on or share with people? Anything they should know about?
Yeah, I just want to again reiterate thanks to everybody who's been doing that, echoing our message out to everyone. I want to thank the Comic Mint for their donation of the production costs of our exclusive variant for Unnatural Order, and Matt Wilson for the cover art on that. Wouldn't have happened without them going extra mile to help out with that, and from Vault Comics for that matter, who did a special printing so we could have them in time for New York Comic Con. And then for myself on my show, on Saturday, I do a show called Only Slabs. It'll be part of Comics Curing Cancer this year. We will have Gene, the CEO of Shortboxed, is going to be on the show. And during that particular show, they will have a packet of something that they will be auctioning off that they're going to do matching funds for.
Nice.
Or whatever gets sold on her. And then also, I have a collection of about 20 slabs that we've pulled together for Only Slabs that we're going to do during that show. We're going to do mystery $50 mystery pull on a slab. So you'll be able to go in there. We'll pull a slab, spin a wheel, pull what number did you get? Boom, pull a slab out. That's what you get. And there's slabs in there. There's probably one of the biggest slabs in there is a Guardians of the Galaxy slab that's signed by Stan Lee and Humberto Ramos.
Wow.
There's a Dazzler 1 print error there. There's a first Defenders. There's some good slabs in there that are well over value for the $50, and there's some that are right at the $50 range. So
no, that's awesome. Everything about this sounds so cool. You guys, you're making it look easy, and I say that is a massive compliment from me on this. And I know it's going to be a lot of work. I know there's a lot going on. If anybody out there is watching, there are passive ways to support. Just watching these events will help the viewer numbers. It'll help the algorithm. It'll help the streams go. Even if you can't pay full attention to what's going on because you're working or you have a project or you're doing homework or whatever it is you have going on at that time, even having the tab open and just playing is helping, hitting that thumbs up. All those different kinds of ways are good ways to support these kinds of streams and events. Every little bit helps, and that's no joke. Like Rob said, the money that he gets from his channel, so doing things like super chats and all that kind of stuff, that's going to be going towards this as well in an indirect way. Although if you donate, it'll probably it's more effective. Go.
It's 100% versus 70%, but yeah,
right.
But year round, when this event's not going on, we do that throughout. Only Slabs is a weekly show, and we generate another $20 a week, whatever. But it adds up.
It adds up 100%. Yeah. So there's all different kinds of different ways. Yeah, absolutely. Months and months of planning for sure. And so, yeah, I didn't see any more new questions come through, which is totally fine. Hopefully everybody's just on board with supporting this. I can't thank you enough for hopping on here and talking about this, because I definitely wanted to make sure that we could do something. This is, again, the least I could do, to give another platform to that voice and hopefully, capture that little bit of people that didn't already know about it and get them thinking about it and talking about it. Literally already saw a couple messages come through about people asking about how they can help. So already it's having some effect. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Every single one of you guys out there. Thank you very much. And of course, to you, appreciate you coming on, having me on. And of course, I appreciate you coming on. You'll be on Only Slabs in just a few weeks.
That's true. That's coming up.
November 11th.
Different that day.
November 11th, you'll be over on my channel for Only Slabs.
Yeah, and I can't wait. It's been exciting. I've been trying to watch along with some of the streams more and more. And
I hope you didn't watch this week's.
I did not see this week's. I saw the previous week's.
Don't watch it, because otherwise you'll say that you don't want to come on.
Why is that?
We had our first time ever Detective Comics 27 on the show. But he also brought on Action Comics 1.
Yeah, of course, because if you're gonna have one, why not have the other?
Yeah, exactly. So to have both those books on the show at the same time. I mean, it was one of those things. It was a perfect example. We always say in comic book collecting that low grade is better than no grade.
Mm-hmm.
He was a pure low grade collector. I mean, I've never seen so many 0.3s and 0.5s. But you know what? He owns a Deck 27 and an Action Comics 1, and I don't.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I mean, those are books where I feel like grade it's not irrelevant, but it's at the same time, if you have one, it's irrelevant. What grade it is, it's still amazing.
I've got a facsimile.
Oh man, 100% great books. And yeah, I'm excited to do that show. I can't wait. It's something that I've been excited for a long time.
Awesome.
And it's finally almost here. But between now and then, something, believe it or not, even bigger is happening, and that kicks off this weekend. So folks, if you're out there and you're watching on the Rewind, hit up those links, go check it out, bookmark some shows, make sure you tune in, share those posts. If you're part of Discords or comic communities, chats on Facebook, share it out there. The good thing is most places aren't going to yell at you for sharing a charity event, whereas they might if you're sharing, sharing some other.
Or if you do, you say, "Oh, I'm sorry," and they go, "Okay, just don't do
it." What you do is you ask them if they support cancer secretly or something, and then they feel guilty and they back off.
You're pro cancer. You're one of those.
Right.
Got it.
It's perfect. It's all for a good cause. And it also sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun for this weekend too. So definitely check out some of the content.
I will be sleep deprived. I'll tell you that. But
yes. Well, that's going to make for better comedy though, come like Sunday, right?
Yeah. The Sunday auction. Fortunately, I have DJ and Mark to keep me, we'll rotate who's supposed to be the voice of intelligence.
Right. Who's busy pounding energy drinks on the side. All right, awesome, folks. So I think that's going to do it for us tonight. Definitely make sure to go check out all those events like we've been saying throughout the show and support it. And guys, Comics Curing Cancer is this weekend. Go hit it up. Go support however you can. Have your wallets ready to win some awesome items and support a great cause. Thanks so much for coming on, Rob. I hope you have a wonderful night. Have a good night, everybody. We'll catch you in the next one.